approach to parenting has been, and my daughter's here, so hopefully I say this accurately, we definitely have boundaries that we have in our home, and we have expectations that we have. But for me, it's most important that I'm always with them. Like God goes with me to the depths of hell. Like I was able to call my daddy from the edge of that bed in heaven and call for him.
So good.
Like he's still next to me when I'm doing something that he doesn't think is great. I want to always be with my children. And so I try to be really careful not to have a power struggle with my children if I can all avoid it. And they're barely children anymore. So is to not get involved with the power struggle, because I feel like sometimes that takes us out as parents. Like, I said you're not allowed to date until you are this age. Okay, so now you're dating behind my back. And I'm unable to speak to the situation because I'm so busy holding my line and my rule that now they're doing something that I don't know about, and I can't be there with her. I can't be there to speak into his life, to my son's life, or to my daughter's life. And so I'm not going to cut my kid off from access to my wisdom, to my love, because they're not following my rule at this moment. It's a very fine line, and I understand. Some of you are like, well, so you're just going to let the rule go? I'm not. It's a very fine line, and it's nuanced. But my primary goal is the relationship connection that I have with my son and with my daughter, so that if they are doing something that I don't approve of, I don't want them to feel like they have to hide from me, and now I'm losing that relationship. They know what I believe is right. They know what the goal and the bar is.
So how do you avoid that?
How do I avoid that?
How do you avoid that?
I have tried to make it safe, and I may not have always succeeded, but I have tried to make it safe for my kids to tell me what was really going on. I try to find out how my kids feel, not just what they're doing. And a lot of times we spend so much time trying to manage what they're doing. We're not checking on how they're feeling, and they're doing something because of how they are feeling. And so if they are attracted to someone who I am not particularly pleased with that choice, but I'm still listening. Well, what is it about this person that you like? What is this aspect? Because that's also teaching me who my children are. That's teaching me what kind of young woman my son may marry one day, what kind of young man my daughter may marry one day. And so I'm listening. I don't know how any other way to put it. I know it sounds scary, like we're condoning them doing something wrong, but if you aren't with them, how can you actually ever help? How can you help? I need to be available, and I wanted them to know that I am as safe of a space for them as God is for me. And God has been a safe place for me, even when I was not doing everything that I needed to do for him. And so if they make a decision that I don't agree with, I'm clear about not agreeing with it. I never not am clear, like, this is not good for you, and it's because of what God says. But talk to me about what your thinking is and what you're doing. Because when our kids do things that are not healthy for them, it's usually because there's a need that's not being met. And that need that's not being met is producing emotional consequences. So if I can find out how they feel, then I can see what need that person that I don't care for is meeting, and how can we work on that need, instead of putting all my attention on eliminating the person and building the wall higher. They're going to climb over that wall eventually, sweetheart. You can't keep them locked up forever. And so I just want to encourage us as Christians to stay emotionally accessible to our young people, because there has to be a transition from rules to relationship that allows us to walk them into their adulthood.
Okay, for someone who's wondering, what does being emotionally available in an iPad, iPhone generation mean as a parent? Because when kids are walking around with phones and they're 5, they babysit them.
Yeah, and it's a little easier then, because like I said, you're managing them.
Yeah.
But when they hit adolescence and these other things start coming up, I'm working really hard not to put my daughter on the spot.
She's like, thanks, Mom.
Really hard, but I'm failing. I'm going to ask her to tell you. This is my daughter, Olivia Grace. I'm going to ask you to come and share, because I feel like we have done a lot of really good work. Come here, Mom.
Hey, babe.
I feel like we've done a lot of really good work in our relationship. And maybe if they hear you explain what has worked for us in terms of feeling like I am emotionally available to you, and when I've succeeded at that and when I've failed at that, and I'm fine with you telling them when I've dropped the ball and whatever. Let them hear something from you. Is that okay?
Well, one thing that definitely came up when you were speaking, and everything that you said was accurate, but I think one of the biggest things was like, how do we become emotionally accessible? How do we but maintain the line, which is a concern for a lot of parents, is to still kind of, everything needs to be in the scope of the relationship. Like, nothing should be about, and I think that has to do with the technology thing too. Like, if you're not building the relationship with them, then when you want to enforce the rules in a way that you're still emotionally accessible, you're gonna have no foundation for that care, for that nurturing spirit that is behind enforcing the rule. You're not gonna have that foundation if you're just throwing them the iPad and just being like, I can't deal with you crying right now, even though I understand that. But if you're not nurturing them, if you're not with them, if you're not emotionally supporting with them, if you're not picking them up as a child, if you're not playing with them, if you're not looking them in the eye, if you're not affirming them, especially through the toughest times as a tween, in through middle school, then you're gonna have no basis for when they're older, when they're 16, 14, 15, when they're acting out. So then you can't blame the child when you're bringing something out that you never prepared them for. And that is the relationship. So,
I think that was pretty good, Mama. That's what I'm saying. I'll tell you something. Isn't she is amazing? She's 17. That's my 17-year-old daughter. And don't look at it and be like, well, she just has a perfect daughter, because she's had her rough times. We've had our rough times. We've had our rough times. You are as perfect as they get, though, girlfriend. You are as perfect as they. I love you so much. I loved you first. I loved you first.
That's beautiful.
Is that I have said to my daughter, and I praise God that my daughter has continued with her relationship with the Lord, and she has maintained herself as a lady with her relationship with the Lord. But I have even said to my daughter, I don't want you to have sex until you get married. But if you decide that you are, don't do it behind my back. Come and talk to me. Because we got to go to the doctor. I got to get you on birth control. We got to have a conversation. I'm not leaving your side and then have you out here committing sins uncovered and come back 10 times worse than if I had tried to protect you. I know it's tough. We get in the sticky space now. Well, if you take her to the doctor, then you're saying it's okay for her to have sex. No, I'm saying it's not okay for you to make me raise a baby. Because I'm tired. I'm 46, don't you bring the And this was difficult because my parents struggled with this. My sister had a serious mental illness. She was bipolar and schizophrenic. She suffered with many things, and she did get pregnant as a teenager. She got addicted to drugs later. She had a very difficult life. She did give her life to the Lord and got clean at the end of her life, for the last 7 years of her life, and that was a wonderful time for us. But it was a very difficult life. It brought a lot of difficulty to our lives. And I remember having this conversation with my dad, that my sister was on birth control and they found the birth control pills and they were very upset and got rid of them. You know, this is what we don't do this in our house. And they got rid of them. And she got pregnant. I'm not saying which is right or wrong. I'm saying it's difficult. But what I do want to do is I don't ever want my daughter to feel that she is unacceptable to me. And so if she's making a decision that I don't agree with, I have looked her in the eye and told her, I still want to be there with you. Because what if I'm able to then speak into that situation? When she falls, I want to be close enough to catch her. And if she has to hide from me, I can't catch her. I can't catch her. And I'm going to catch my girl. So church people can look at me however they want. I'm going to take care of her. And that's where you have to get. It's not all about rules and enforcement. And then we start feeling like they're breaking our rules and we get into this power struggle because it's religion as well. We don't know what else to do. And many of us haven't been taught what else to do as parents. So we don't know what else. But for me, motherhood is about humility, recognizing that I don't know everything that I need to know, but I'm trying. But that her success is as important to the joy in my life as it is in her life, and I'm willing to do anything for it. And so as long as I live kingdom in front of her, we live kingdom at home, because that's a lot of church folks' problems. Y'all are sitting in church and you're enforcing rules, but you're not living kingdom in your house. You're fussing and fighting and talking bad about church people and talking bad about and so they don't trust your faith. But we live kingdom in our house, and we love desperately. that is the most important thing we can do with them. I hope that answered your question. We
That
love
helped,
desperately.
kids? Let me hear my teens. Was that good?
You're not allowed to say anything.
Say something.